Welcome back for lesson 5 of our John study, in which we are taking our time going through the entire book of John, and our video lessons are on the shorter side, and part of the reason for that is the encouragement is for you to study these texts deeper. I'm hoping to just give you little pointers along the way. I want to start this day's lesson a little differently. Take a listen. I'm sure most of you recognize that song right away. On July 7th, 1967, the Beatles released this song, All You Need Is Love. Perhaps one of their most well-known songs, often made fun of because of its simplistic lyrics. But, you don't get a better band than the Beatles. There's nobody bigger. They continue to outsell new artists today, and it, just increases exponentially. I know if I'm having a rough day, the Beatles are always good to listen to. But that song came out at a time of immense strife in our world. Political strife, with war, American society splitting apart. Boy, it sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? But what John and Paul, the dynamic writing duo, hit on was that central, easy concept of love. Love one another. This is something that thousands of years before Jesus had been teaching, and he teaches in the Gospel of John, as we see. The problem is there are stories all that you see and hear all the time about the church splitting and the church fighting. The church fights over such big things as the role of women in our pulpits and in our churches, but also as such small things as the paint on the walls and the color of the carpet. I've been in the church my entire life, and I have seen fights on all of those items, and I've been a part of some of those fights and arguments. The Methodist Church is no different. Right now, we are still, and even in the midst of everything that's going on in our nation right now, we are still in the midst of a fight within the church about how we will view certain people and whether we will choose to include them or not. The Gospels teach love as the basic element that holds our faith together. That is the theme here. Jesus doesn't just give up his life. He gives up his life for the sake of love, that he loves others. The theme verse that, or the central verse that I chose for today comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 34 through 35. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. So you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, that you have love for one another. This is often a missed concept in how we operate as a church on a day-to-day basis. It's a missed concept that many of us don't fulfill in our own families. The heart of the gospel is love. Love for God is equally as important as loving others. For Jesus, these both go hand in hand together. Notice there's no calling out of sin, no defamation for sin. This is just the nature of who Jesus calls us to be. So what I would like for you to discuss with others around you is about this particular section of verses. It was a large section of verses, chapter 13 through chapter 17. Is there a theme that binds it all together? Now, you just heard me talk about love, and that is what I see as one of the themes that hold this together. But there are other themes. What sticks out to you? What particular verse spoke to you as you did the gospel reading? And why did it stick out to you? I would like you to discuss these in your groups and explore them together. Do you think there was an overall theme to Jesus' work and ministry? And a little clue, there are different takes on this. You heard me talk about love, but I know others who talk about redemption as the primary way in which Jesus interacts and views the world. Others talk about justice, and others still talk about judgment. So there are many different options. What in these verses speaks to you, and how do you interpret that? So please break into your groups and do this together.